Man, what a year it's been. I feel like it was just yesterday that we launched the blueprint, but it was actually about mid-February, right? That we went live.
The official launch date of the blueprint, which was rebranded from the previous stuff we'd done together under Weberus. We had a couple of tools and trainings under there that we rebranded and also expanded just massively on to build the blueprint.
Yeah, so I think it's important to set the context for the blueprint for people. This is we've been working on this stuff for 3 years, really over 3 years. My team at Coding is for Losers helped your team at Weberus automate stuff like project management, reporting, site audits, stuff like that. So we had all these trainings on the shelf, and you were building, the blueprint was really just a training for your team internally, right?
The blueprint originally was, I contracted you to help us build some tools, and then after we built them, and they're all Google Sheets, just the stuff that you do, I then was putting together some training videos for internal purposes for my team to know how to use those tools, when to use them. And then I kind of started to see the light bulb, and I was like, damn, I should do this for everything in the company, like end to end, everything that we do from.
You just went beast mode on it. You spent like 6 months completely blacked out, made like SOPs for everything that your team did and used them for training.
Yeah, that was probably 3 years ago now. And that process, those systems, those SPs, the tools that you built helped me to scale and sell that company, Weberus. And after that point, that's when you and I were like, man, we might have something here. Because we started selling those tools individually. We're making, 50 to maybe 100K total on all those things that we sold. Yeah. And that was
probably 2018. We probably did 50K. Yeah. 2017, 2018.
Right. We kind of decided to partner up more officially, created the blueprint, branded it, and we decided to put together an end-to-end SEO training. And that's what we just 9 months in now. We're in December now. That was February.
Yeah.
We're on pace to close $500,000 in revenue off the blueprint this year, which is really exciting.
Super humbling.
Super humbling, man.
Super grateful for that.
It's when we launched an info-based product, the fact that people want to pay for you just talking into a microphone like that is absurd. But I think it is a testament to not just us, because there's a lot of other people that are working behind the scenes on this stuff, the support teams, all of our VAs and people that help us out to do all this stuff. It's really a testament to all their hard work. And the community too of people who have really helped us to take this to the next level, because we've promoted it pretty heavily, but it's the community that's really taken hold of it and helped us really for me anyways, want to focus pretty much full time on building this.
Yeah. And I mean, let's take a step back and just look at what were the wins and losses of the blueprint for this year. I'll start with a win. I think, like you said, that the community and the way that people have stepped up to volunteer for different roles within the blueprint. So we have Mark, who sends out weekly roundups of the Slack community every week. Jerry's doing Facebook group, kind of moderation and more of that type of stuff. And people are just coming out of the woodwork and volunteering. We're collaborating with blueprint members on making new modules for local SEO and stuff.
Big win for me personally in figuring out how to position this. I didn't want it to be, not just me, but we didn't want it to be just another internet marketing course launch. And that's really kind of the gray line that we toe every day with this, because there's so many courses out there and this space is so spammed out with the quote unquote gurus, as people call them. And SEO in particular has kind of been burned out, right? And I wanted to be very conscious that we were able to create a brand, right? Something that was more than just a perpetual course launch, and something that we could create and then have it grow and not have to continuously rebrand, relaunch it like a lot of people do. Exactly. I like to liken this as what Digital Marketer has done. Obviously, we're not even close. I'm not saying we're close to them, but I look at their model, what they've done in terms of building a platform, a true platform, right? Not a training course, but a platform that fosters a community that has the trainings, but then it can also push into events, networking, stuff like that. Something that's just much bigger than Ryan Dice, who just started it, but a true platform, right?
Yeah, that brings up a win for me, on my side. So Ryan does a lot of content and a lot of our marketing strategy, which we can talk about. I'm David, by the way, if you don't know me. My side of the blueprint is really the tools and the templates and making sure technically what we're putting out there works. And a big part of that, right, is supporting people who are using these templates in Google Sheets and Google Data Studio. So at the beginning of the blueprint, when we launched, I was doing all that support myself. You kind of have to, right, when you're launching something new. That quickly became I was inundated. There's so many people, and just helping people get started, it's not something I could take on myself. So I'm super grateful to Andreas, who's our full-time support, and really he's an expert to my level, I really think, with Google Sheets and Google Data Studio, to the point where he's now building tools for us. So that's a huge win, is just growing the Blueprint team and having more voices who can help out in the community.
Kind of you hit on the marketing. I do the marketing, I do the advertising, the content. I mean, the Blueprint is really driven by a lot of the advertisements that you guys see online. That's our main source of, sorry guys, but that's our main source of acquisition, right?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about what the strategy has been?
Yeah, I think it's important because a lot of people, I think, when they launch a course, they want to build that's the traditional one, build a list and hit your community hard, but we didn't really do that. I don't think I ever actually I maybe sent one email blast and we have 40,000 email subscribers. One blast that was hey, this course is live. We weren't just hammering people in over and over. I wanted to take more of an advertising approach where this is an expensive product, right? There needs to be multiple touch points. It's not just hey, we have a $3,000 course, you should buy it, right? I really wanted to show the value in the tools, the value in the processes. So coming at people with all these different value propositions communicated through video, through advertising, through marketing, and really pushing people down that funnel. But I think my biggest learning is because I'm a marketing focused, meaning acquisition. How can we get more and more people on board? But really my biggest learning was that this platform, will succeed based on after what we do after people purchase, right? So it's a big thing to, people always ask, how do I sell more? How do I get more customers? But really to me, it's how do you do more with the customers that you have, right? So that feeds into the community, but and that's almost kind of might seem as a juxtaposition because we have a one-time payment system. We're not on a recurrent payment system like software.
Yeah, but I know lots of folks come through the Blueprint and take a free course or buy the project management module for $500 and take 6 months or even longer before they're ready to upgrade to the full thing. So for us, we really have to. That's an investment we've made this year for sure.
I think also we communicate a lot with our customers and people who are borderline customers. Slack has been an amazing tool for us because we've talked a lot about the dwindling effect of email as a marketing solution, right? The traditional method, again, from an advertising point of view, is set up a webinar, capture the email, convert them through sequences. But delivery rates are dwindling, open rates are dwindling. People know they're getting sold to, right? So email.
Looking ahead to 2020, we've talked a lot about almost using drip email exclusively for specific transactional onboarding things versus longer drip sequences.
Exactly. So as opposed to using email as a sales tool, using it as a nurturing tool, right? I mean, so what I've shifted our focus on email just to go in the weeds a little bit, as opposed to somebody signs up for one of our webinars. It's not first email is, hey, look at this testimonial. Hey, the traditional flow that people will send is selling the course, selling the benefits right away. But for me, the email is now, I just want people to watch the webinar. You opted in for the webinar, let's use email as a nurturing tool.
Because we tried the other way. I think when we initially launched, we had your classic nurturing sequence. It worked okay, but not great.
To an extent, and I think that small understanding also then triggered all these other things that we're talking about in terms of building community, nurturing, and then using Slack as a one-to-one communication tool. So as opposed to using Slack as kind of a benefit of joining the course, we've been using it also as kind of a means to connect directly with people, right?
You probably have 20, you get definitely more than I do. You probably get 20 DMs a day.
I get bombed.
And let's be real, that's time consuming.
Very time consuming.
But super, super valuable.
Incredibly valuable, because I think the price point of something is that high, $3,000. And so it's also, just real quick, we also decided to break down the course into, we could sell the modules individually, like an e-commerce store, right? Not many other courses do that. That was a big, I think, benefit to us, because now we're using smaller modules like the monthly report that we sell 50 to 100 a month as a tripwire product to get people to pay in the ecosystem in Slack. And then again, using that nurturing to get them eventually converted into that kind of, you said, 6 months to a year to be a full Blueprint member.
Yeah, so we're kind of rambling a little bit here, but let's recap.
Yeah.
What do we think? Well, I mean, I'll just recap for myself. The wins and really key learnings from this year were support is crucial. Huge. And we need to continue to invest heavily in that. We're definitely going to grow that team in 2020. Yep. Let's see, other wins. I think a win of just communication and opening up the Slack channel. In the beginning, the Slack channel was only for paying members. We opened it up to free modules as well.
But we've also locked that down to paying members get access to different levels of Slack.
It's like tiered out, but I think opening up that Slack channel as much as we can feasibly, like huge win, and just getting the communication really tight.
Even if people in there convert, that's fine with us, right? I mean, that's a big one.
Losses, and then you can sum up a few. Like I have a loss that I want to talk about, which is pricing. We launched with a monthly payment plan, so not like recurring. So it was like $400 a month, $3K a year, not lifetime access. It was like recurring subscription. Like woohoo, we can get like recurring revenue, and like that's the model everyone wants. But what we found is that just doesn't work for this type of platform. People really prefer to pay up front, get access to everything, and not have to eat recurring fees. So I think that probably cost us, I honestly would say like 50 or 100K in the first few months, because people would pay $400, and we should have known that this was gonna happen. People would pay $400, cancel the second month, get all the content, we leave $2,500 on the table.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, we moved to like more drawing a line in the sand. We still offer the payment plan of 3 months, but like moving to that model of being like, this is the price.
And that was the customer
told me that. Was like, man, you're blowing it on pricing. Like, just charge me the whole thing up front and I'll pay it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, good idea.
Exactly. I mean, pricing is something that I think you will always struggle with, just because like, I get a lot of people telling me that's too low, but like the biggest objection that I do get, because, and I'll talk about the sales in a second, but is that I can't afford it right now. I'm saving up money because, a lot of this is for agencies, and it's for helping consultants and agencies scale to a certain point, which means they're probably at a point where cash flow is a little bit tight. And that goes back to the point of like having multiple touch points with these people, from advertising to Slack, and then also moving to a sales model, meaning we got off of kind of the email automated flows and just like buy now, buy now, buy now. But instead, all of our call to actions are now talk to Ryan, talk to David, right? Like book a time on our calendar to have a conversation about your business. And that's also just kind of opened up new learnings for me, because now I'm having 5 to 15 conversations a week with agencies, understanding their pain points better, understanding what they're looking for, which we're now able to feed back into the course and take that on to where we want to go.
Yeah, it's another thing that like, God, I hate saying like do things that don't scale, but like that's what being a human means. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a human-centered business where your customers actually have a relationship with you, you need to speak with them.
Yeah.
It's so obvious, but like hard to do.
That people might look at it and say that doesn't scale well, you being on the phone with people, but like you're only getting on the phone if you've been through the free modules. If like, I know that if somebody gets on the call with me, it's probably pricing that's holding them back, or just maybe some questions they want to ask me, some advice they want to get, which I'm happy to do. It's 15 to 20 minutes and I enjoy having those conversations. But yeah, kind of like you said, I mean, like that I do see as also the best use of my time. Like instead of, I don't know, it's very valuable to have that conversation with customers. And
so what
would you say like you struggled with the most? Like obviously it was a great year for the Blueprint, for our team, for all of the folks in the Blueprint, great year for the community, and we're really looking forward to next year, and beyond. But like, what would you say you struggle with the most like this year?
Is putting together the material, because I have such high quality standards. In the original training that we put out, the link building training was so in depth, so process focused that it set a level of expectations for people, right? And I wanted to model the rest of the course after that, but the problem that I'm having is not making the course too in depth and too long, and still making it. So like, again, going back to the fact that like, to me, my biggest learning is consumption. Like if you want to have a course, or any business for that matter, right? Like it's not just about getting that contract signed or getting a payment done. It's actually getting your customers to use and love your product. Because if we can get somebody to go through the Blueprint and understand what we're teaching, they then become advocates of the course as well, right? Because the material is that good. And it's the same thing with software, all these different things, right? So that fundamental switch for me to go from, hey, I need to get more people in the door, to, yes, we want to get as many people in the door as possible, but once they pay, like how do I make this person fall in love with the Blueprint? And that really is
switching like your content production to really like focus around that versus just focusing on like covering in depth as possible.
Yeah, and of course just my time. I mean, me and you have a lot of other stuff going on, some other companies. The Blueprint is one of the companies in our portfolio right now, but putting together these modules is incredibly time consuming. But once it's done, it's done, and it's just about, again.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest struggle has been like all the Google Sheets templates and Data Studio templates that we're publishing, like they're getting a lot of airtime. People are, hundreds of people are implementing these templates across a dozen or more clients each, or five, a handful of clients each. So like we're really getting a lot of airflow over these templates, which means we're finding every single edge bug case that you possibly can, which is, I think it's great because it makes us better, ultimately, and it makes us improve the tools. But in the midst of like, man, I'm trying to like write something on like Tuesday morning, and like the website quality audit sheet is totally broken.
Yeah.
It's like, well, shit, like there's my day.
Yeah.
That's tough, but like that's what you need to do.
It's work.
Like a course is in kind of that traditional internet marketing thing where it's kind of like just get it done, sell it, and be done with it.
Like
Whereas
I sell courses at Coding is for Losers, like our Data Studio course.
Yeah.
It's self-serve.
Course.
Yeah.
It's self-serve, it's informational. You use the information.
Yeah.
There's no like output on the back end of like implementing something specific that needs to work for you.
That speaks to what we've done and what we're trying to do with this is not a course. There's a course element to it because there's trainings and videos. But like, again, I really like to use the word platform just because of all of the things that are rolled up in it, and also where we want to go with it, which I think we should talk about a little bit too, which is
What's on your mind for next year?
there is number one is getting more voices into the blueprint, right? So again, not just having me and you teaching all of them. We've already been in talks with some, bringing more blueprint members to do some of the stuff. Just building out more modules, again, listening to our customers and saying, what do you want? And what can we help you with?
Looking for paid acquisition and like Facebook ads, certainly local SEO comes up a lot.
Yeah, it does.
I think those are like the two big ones, but there's a ton of other ones on the list. And I've been really impressed with Blueprint members like stepping up to volunteer to build those types of things. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I want to talk about for next year is how do we, there's so much actual activity, like market activity happening within the Blueprint community. Clients, hiring, gigs, all of this, people have needs, that they're voicing to the community. So we've been really thinking about like, how can we connect people for these needs? How can we, for example, if someone wants to hire an agency that's gone through the Blueprint, if a customer wants to hire a Blueprint agency, how can we verify that agency has gone through the Blueprint? How can we really like make that connection in a sustainable and like verifiable way, in a trustworthy way?
Yeah, that's
one of the things that I've been working on really this last week is putting together. So the way the course is structured now, it's in our 5 phases. It's very digestible. It's very well organized. But what we want to do is add a learning plan on top of that, right? So like week 1, you go through this, and then you take a quiz at the end, right? So like kind of folding that back into, we know what people are doing. They've gone through it. They've answered the questions. We know that they've kind of checked past that. So we put them through the whole course. They take the quizzes. They then pass that, and then we have a little bit more of a test phase where we give them some sample deliverables, have them go through it and do it, and then we give them a stamp of approval, like a Blueprint verified freelancer, Blueprint verified agency. And with the freelancers, what we can do is we want to put those back into the community in our jobs channel and let the agencies in the Blueprint hire these freelancers to work at their agencies that are, the agency's already running on the Blueprint modules, the tools, trainings, everything, and then we've got these people who have already done that too. It's a seamless fit.
Like
Sven knows how to run website quality audits.
Yep.
Webris agency needs to run website quality audits. You hire Sven to execute.
Exactly. Literally.
Letting the Blueprint agencies and consultants just make it super easy to hire people that are basically coming trained out of the box. They just have to learn a bit more about your agency and
So I
business.
think there's
Two sides of like Blueprint marketplace or Blueprint services. One is like the hiring and training and verification and quizzing, certification really aspect to know that like the agency or the freelancer is up on these processes.
Yeah.
And then the second side is really going like externally and saying to potential, companies that are looking to hire SEO professionals, saying, here, you can hire this group of people to execute these specific services. And like, how do we facilitate that connection in a trustworthy way as well?
Yeah.
The third way too is us actually opening up the Blueprint services, which is we're still working through what that exactly is going to look like. But basically, we have a team, us that's running our agencies now. It's doing a lot of stuff for us, and these people are all trained in the Blueprint stuff. So, we're running website quality audits nonstop, keyword research nonstop for our companies.
Yeah.
And we have people that are amazing. How do we...
So making our team available to Blueprint members.
Exactly. So you go through the blueprint and let's say, for example, maybe you lose somebody or maybe you get a new client, you can't manage your resources. You can use us for a pinch to run a website quality audit. So anything that's in the blueprint, keyword research, reporting, whatever, you can pay us.
Just do the recipe for it.
And we will do it for you. Exactly. So we'll deliver that for you. It's white labeled. So kind of a quasi white label relationship, but only for stuff that's in the blue. Like we're not going to do custom work. We're not going to that you can work with Coding Solutions if you do something like that. But
I'm really looking forward to developing that because I think helping out, like everyone's time crunched, and the more we can just like be there for support, like a brick wall, like when you need that, I think
like a true ecosystem, right? A true ecosystem. And once you buy in, you're in it for life. So you buy in, you get access to all these amazing things. You're running on these systems that are continuously growing. So we're doing that for you. So that's kind of the thing is that when I was running the agency on my own, you have to do everything. You have to worry about hiring, training, finances, getting clients, and then continuously improving your processes and services. But we're taking that off the plate for you. And then we're also saying, oh, here, by the way, here's some people that can help you out to do these things at a low rate that are trained on exactly what you need them to do. So there's really no kind of, loss of time getting these people implemented and getting stuff done.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to next year.
Forward to it too. And then, I have big goals for sales for next year too. I truly do believe that I'm happy for the sales that we had, but I do think that the value of the course is we can do more. And I think that we want to continue to reach new people, reach new audiences. I also think build more of a presence in the SEO community, like maybe start going to conferences, maybe doing some sponsorships here and there.
Yeah, we've been a bit of hermits this
Yeah, we have.
for sure.
It's easy to sit behind a camera, but getting out and actually meeting people in person, I think, is something that is the next big step for us, right? Maybe having a live event here in Miami or in Austin for Blueprint members. Again, like the concept of community, of ecosystem, of networking, of people, connecting people that are all kind of running on the same wavelength is something that
And
that's
you did
Like a short event too, right? Like
before the blueprint was live. So that was kind of like I had the blueprint done, but I trained them on it. But after you have the blueprint, we can do additional trainings on top of it. There's tons of things that we can do, but really more of it's again, like we want it to be less about us and more about the community and what we can give back and what other people can get out of it as well. So that to me is what next year is. We've really focused the last 3 months on community. I think we've done a tremendous job, but we're only really scratching the surface of the community that we can build.
Yeah, so we had
a lot of fun in 2019 growing the Blueprint. We hope you joined us for some of it, or if you're just joining us, we hope you stick around for 2020 and see what we're coming out with.
It is important.
I got to give you a sales pitch on this if you watch this far, is that we will be raising prices because we're adding in other outside modules as well. So whenever you buy, that price is locked in for life. So if you buy now, it's $3,000 for life. You want to add more modules, it's going to go for 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, whatever in the future. You never have to pay more, right? So the sooner you get in, the cheaper it's going to be, and you're locked in for life on that stuff. I had to give you a quick pitch.
Can't help yourself.
And this is always fun to talk about these things. And
Thanks for indulging our transparency here.
Absolutely.
See you guys.